Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Susan. Good morning, Rand. Okay, so what I wanted to do today is to move on to move number two. But before we do, I want to make sure that everybody is seeing this silk reeling kind of spiral in there in the first move. It's subtle. There are moves in the form where it's not particularly subtle and you really can see it. But here it's really quite subtle. The reason I want to make sure that everybody sees it is um, it's something you have to grab hold of, and it will support you through the entire form. From the beginning of the form to the end of the form, there is one unbroken thread of spiraling energy. If you can't see it, then it's going to be pretty hard to do it. Sometimes in the form, that kind of movement is very large and you can see it. So a punch, for instance, in Tai Chi starts with the palm up and then it goes to palm down. Pretty easy. You can see the spiral. You watching the hands, you can see the spiral, but it's not just the hands that are spiraling. My whole arm is spiraling. And in fact, my trunk is spiraling and my legs are spiraling. Everything is spiraling. And that's really what Shen style Tai Chi and Hunyan are about. Because Hunyan is a form of Chen style. So let's go back and look at that first move again. And I will try to point out these really subtle signals that you should be looking for in this move, but all the future moves too, including move number two. So hold on. Now, I'm not going to pay too much attention to this beginning. Not because it's not there, but just because I want to get to the form itself. Now, watch his hands. See them turn backwards. Now they turn forward. Now they're turning again. Now they turn again. Now they're turning backward. Now they're turning forward. All right, one more. The hands turn backward, forward, backward, forward, backward, forward, backward, forward. And backward again. Okay, when I'm saying backward and forward, what I'm saying is backward means you're leading with your little finger. It's not necessarily that the hands are going back, although that's true in this case. It's that you're leading with the little finger. The little finger is going back. Forward means you're leading with the thumb. Backward, forward. Backward, forward. And again, just remember that the hands are expressing what the body is doing. So the whole body is going backward, the whole body is going forward. That's what silk reeling is. It's not the hands in particular, it's just it shows up in the hands, particularly when you have all those clothes on that he's got on. But watch his hands. When I started with Master Zhang, somehow intuitively I understood there were two things that I needed to watch. One was his hands and the other was his belly. It's not because I was so smart. It's just I somehow intuitively knew that. Most other students in the class were doing this. Oh, look at those birds. And it's nice. Oh, there's a tree over there. All right? They weren't watching him. He didn't teach with words. He just taught with his body. All right? You had to watch in order to catch what he was really doing. It's the same with this. This is pretty subtle. Huh? If you can grab hold of this, that's grabbing hold of the thread, right? So I'm going to play this 2 or 3 more times, and I'm not going to talk. Just watch this and try it yourself. Just try to do what he's doing. All right, were you were you able to catch it, Susan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And I can feel it too when I would do that. It was like, oh yeah, it's all happening inside too.
yeah, exactly. This subtle movements with the hands and
Mhm,
therefore the arms lead to opening and closing of the body. All right, open,
mhm.
close. All right, open, close. Well, that's the major way the human body works. All right, Rand, what was your experience?
No, I can definitely feel it. I also thought it was really interesting that this seems to be one of the things that are hidden regularly. Like when you look at the regular, in a sense, he's giving a clue. He's showing something that usually isn't shown because usually you just like go forward. And he's like, "Oh no, let's show you that there's a spiral inside. I'll show you the movement of the energy body."
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Master Feng used to say, if I don't show you, you won't see it. So he was so well developed that he could spiral or twist his energy with almost nothing showing on the outside. If he didn't show it to you, you weren't going to see it. I can guarantee you, however, if he put his hands on you, you would feel it. Right? It was it was very powerful. Um, it's just a kind of twisting. I was pushing with him once, pushing hands, very very gently, pushing hands, and I pushed in right underneath his arm, and I could feel inside his arm turning or twisting. And of course, when he did that, I twisted too. And so my push lost all its power. It's a form of neutralization. So yeah, Rand, that's exactly right. He really is showing, and he's practicing it. Sometimes spiral power is very big. It's very powerful. Sometimes it's incredibly subtle. But it's actually all in the same spectrum. So what you're doing when you practice at this level is you're beginning to see this spectrum and then practice the different positions on the spectrum. And the way it will go, I am going to guess for you, because this is the way it goes for everybody, is you'll catch certain things first. Usually they're one of the bigger, more obvious things. Not always, but sometimes. And that's kind of your doorway into this new world. And then if you just keep watching, that awareness will begin to show up in other places. So they're like little islands. And then the islands begin to join together into continents. And then the continents join together into a whole planet, slowly over time. Okay, let's go on and watch the first part of movement number two. And all I want to watch now is this. When we've been doing the form, I've included that in move number one. We're not going to do that. We're going to make that move number two because traditionally it is. So we're just going to watch the first third or so of move number two. So hold on. Okay, we need to go out a little further. Now, watch his right hand. Okay, so that first circle has one of those bigger silk reeling twists inside there. And you can really see what he's doing. It's everywhere else too. Working up to that, moving away from that. So, if we're going to try to copy him, so you just have to feel that whole body twisting. So a lot of his rhythm or his timing has to do with him feeling his own twist. He's giving the twist enough time to express itself completely. He's not stopping when the twist is half done. Right? He's not stopping there and then running on to something else. Let it fully express itself, and then, so it's a little bit like if you go down to Ocean Beach and you watch a wave come in on the beach. The wave always comes in the whole way. It doesn't come in halfway and then stop and then run out again. Right? It comes in the whole way, and then it slides back out again. When you do it that way, it's sort of creating its own internal rhythm. Then your job as the practitioner is just to hear that rhythm and cooperate with it. So it's less about it's less about copying some outside form or some idea in your head, and it's more about cooperating with what's already going on inside your body, whatever it is. Just take your time. Boom, and then you go. Now, when you think of it that way, there's no fast or slow. It doesn't matter that you're quote unquote going slow, because you're simply following your internal rhythm. What's the difference? You don't have to accord to some outside regulation. All right? Now, I'm going to guess, I don't know, but I'm going to guess that Yamaguchi worked with Chen Shan, because I see a lot of Chen Shan in what Yamaguchi is doing. I see less of Master Feng and more of Chen Shan. Think about early Chen Shan, when he was really using his hips and shoulders, when he was really using a lot of wrestling. And then combine that with this focus on silk reeling. So there are different vocabularies, there's different ways of expressing. To me, what this class ought to be about, I really like, I hope you guys like this because I love it, all right, is how you do this is going to be up to you. You're the artist. But it's really interesting to look at these different people and go, oh, all right, they're not just randomly moving. They're choosing to do things in a certain way. So a very early Chen Shan, wow, he was really using his core body in a like as a wrestler. All right, he was really. All right. There's nothing wrong with that. It feels good when you do that. Still soft, but wow, it's really working everything out. But watch him when he's older. And it's still there, but it's much finer. Now you watch this guy, and aware of the fact that I'm absolutely sure that he worked with Chen Shang. Master Feng would go to China, and I'm sure Chen Shang went with him. Or maybe that guy came to Beijing. He is also using his body, but boy, it's much more subtle. Now, part of it may be that with all those voluminous clothes, it's a little bit hard to see, but still, his vocabulary is, or maybe it's his syntax, right, is much finer. So what are you going to do? What are you doing? What are you going to do? What am I going to do? So it's a way of exploring what the possibilities are. I like what Yamaguchi's doing, but I don't want to be Yamaguchi. But I'd like to study Yamaguchi. I really like that idea of just being very, very aware of the thread of silk reeling through everything. And just paying a lot of attention to that. Yeah, Kevin.
Well, the only way I'm finding to get anything that I imagine to be my energy out to the end of my body is to find your core-ish, whatever I am at the moment, and moving it subtly enough that I can get my arm to rotate. And
Uh-huh.
you know, and then it starts feeling correct, I guess.
Yeah. Some thoughts that come up. What those guys are doing and what we're studying is a very formal approach to this. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not the only approach. There's also an informal approach. They didn't make this stuff up sitting down and thinking, okay, what if we spiral and do this and that? What they did is they worked on the martial arts. And they just noticed, well, what works and what doesn't work. Why does it work? Okay, well, it works because X, Y, and Z. And over time, and it literally took centuries, over time, they discovered that there are basic principles on which all this stuff is based. So it's actually an observational science. It's not a religious dogma. It's just science as to what's happening. I've been watching some baseball batting coaches, this one older guy in particular, and some golf swing coaches. Now, these guys don't know anything about Tai Chi, but they've discovered the same principles. So, right, the baseball coach says the ball comes in here and you think you got to swing out at it. That's not how you do it. How you do it is you swing down. You swing down on it, and that's how you get your power. In other words, you've got a spiral going on. Yeah, Susan.
You're making me think of a woman I knew of whose name was Judith Aston, and she was a dancer.
Uh-huh.
What she came to as a dancer was the idea that her whole body worked in spirals, and she developed a whole system of body work based on that. And that's what I used when I had that herniated disc.
Yeah.
I was seeing a PT who was trained in Aston patterning, and I have
Wow.
no trouble with it at all.
Wow. That's really quite amazing.
Yeah.
I know both Master Zhang and Master Feng several times said these spirals are the way the human body works, but it's the way everything works. That's how the universe works. It works in spirals. And so I've sort of kept my eyes open for this, that, and the other. So, and I haven't been really good about bookmarking them. I should be a little bit better about it. But for instance, there's something I keep running into all the time on YouTube from a physics video thing where they're talking about the orbits of electrons, and basically it's right there on the on the screen that you see when something comes in your feed. I said everybody talks about it, the electrons orbiting around the nucleus. That's not what happens. They're spiraling. Now, they don't know anything about Tai Chi. Or you think the same thing with our solar system. And this is like, it's so simple. I don't know why I never thought about this, but you think of every picture you've ever seen of the solar system. And of course, these are illustrations, so you can't expect too much, but nevertheless, the sun's in the middle and all the planets are orbiting in the elliptical plane around there, right? But that's not what happens. The sun is moving. It's moving pretty damn quick, actually. And what all those planets are doing is spiraling around the sun. So if you actually looked at their trails are spirals. They look exactly like this. Right? And it's like, oh, well, yeah, of course. That's what's really happening. And then the sun itself doesn't go in a straight line. It moves through the galactic disk, and it moves like this. It's really long, takes millions of years to make one rotation, but that's what it's doing. So it's really interesting. The blood in I think it's your arteries. Your arteries are built in such a way that the blood moves through them in spirals. So they finally figured that out, and they started making, the stents and things that they make for operations, and they started putting that spiral in there. It's everywhere you look. Anyway, I'm gonna change the ending on that little thing that we just did so that it includes the whole second move. And then we'll play it like 10 times in a row. And you all just follow. You can watch, you can follow, you can do both, and just see what you get out of this. Watch his right hand. Watch his left hand. Left hand again. Now his right hand. Right hand, left hand. Now watch his left hand. Watch them both.
Have you ever seen those little drums? They're like, trying to hold too many things. A little drum about this big, and it has a post, and it has two strings with balls on the end.
Yeah.
And you do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
That's what's going on here. You know,
Yeah.
you're twisting the front, and then the arm comes around. You're not doing this.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. The twist goes down the length of the arm. Or length of the limbs. Well, I'm not sure how to proceed from here. Just watching him is, we can really see some stuff in here, but I'm not sure that we want to go through the whole form and watch it at that level. So I'll think about this. You guys think about it too. And, you know, maybe we should just grab hold of this idea and try, just let him be for a little while, and just try the first 3 moves or first 4 moves or so, and just see what we find in here. The form is really your teacher. It's in the form. Whether you can find it in the form is a different thing, but it is in the form. All right. Well, I hear Annie calling for lunch, but I'll eat with a real twist in my wrist when I do this. All right, guys, you have yourselves a great day. We'll see you next time. Ciao.